Welcome to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm Woody Zimmerman here with Mark Skabowski of Remax Lakes. Welcome to the show.
Here we are, morning.
Here we are. Good morning. The holidays are here,
They're here.
which is good. It's fun time to get together with family, have the turkey and the ham and all that. Share presents, share family time, play card games and all that stuff. That kind of slows down the market, though. I mean, typically.
It does. The time frame, November, December, this holiday season, Christmas season, whatever you choose to call it, it slows down.
Mm-hmm.
We talked in the past about the seasonality. Well, it's definitely, we're in seasonality. This is kind of on the downward slide. People are getting ready. And when I say people, agents, activity slows down.
Yeah.
Why is that? Well, what are we all doing?
Mm-hmm.
We're getting ready for the holidays, right? We're either planning for family coming into town or planning to go out of town.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that is, you're not focused on buying homes or selling homes.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. And so the purpose today, or the topic of the show today, is selling your home during the holiday season or buying a home during the holiday season.
Yeah.
What are the positives and negatives?
Okay.
So let's take it from the buyer's side. Well, the good news is there aren't as many people out looking
Right.
for all the reasons that we just talked about.
Yeah.
So what's your why? If you really need to move, you're going to be out looking, right? If you're transferring jobs and you need to move, you're going to move during this time frame.
And since the first day I met you, you've talked about that. It's what is your why? So that's a big part of it. Yeah.
It's critical. And there is still activity from a buyer's standpoint. You're just not competing as much.
Yeah.
You're not competing with as many people. Inventory typically has slowed down, and we call that seller fatigue at that point. So somebody who may be listed, typically we'll see a 6-month listing contract, sometimes 3s, whatever, but somebody listed in the summer, they've had showing. Now things have slowed down. For whatever reason, people are no longer interested in their house. They're not interested in looking, but they've had showings, no offers, or they've had offers that got started and then fell apart. And they're just sick of having their home on the market, having it ready to go.
Yeah.
So sellers will pull their homes off the market in the fall of the year. Lake homes especially. The reason they do that is they're not there to maintain. If it's a second home, they're not there to maintain the driveway, the sidewalk, to keep things. They turn the heat down.
Yeah.
You go look at a house that's 38 degrees. It's not comfortable walking around. Does that give you a nice homey feeling walking into that house with low temperature?
Right.
It's cold outside. You walk in and it's cold in the house.
Also, it doesn't really show the true features of the home sitting on the lake. It's like you have to envision it. What's this going to look like in June? And it's December or whatever. But and being somebody who has moved in the wintertime, I moved on Valentine's Day during a winter storm. That's not fun.
No, it is not. So for buyers, the positive is there's less competition.
Yeah.
The negative is there's a little less inventory. And like you talked about, trying to move when it's that cold, get your crew rounded up when everybody's focused on the holidays.
Yeah.
It's tougher.
Yeah, it takes more than just pizza and a couple of beers to get somebody to help you out.
Beyond that is, you get into bowl season, and who wants to get off the couch besides watching football games?
Oh, yeah, that's true, too.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
That's it. So with all the other stuff that's going on, buyers, it's just tougher to move. Now, from a seller's perspective, the positive for them is, hey, there is less inventory. There's less competition for your listing.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I've seen over the years, and I would say this to everybody, I say it every winter, is, buyers that are looking at this time are more motivated to buy. You have fewer tire kickers. That's not a technical term.
Right.
But there are fewer people out let's just go look at it. What are you doing? Well, I just like to go look at houses.
Yeah.
Well, okay, it happens all year, but this time of year to go brave, what's going on.
Yeah, right.
It's good. You got to be motivated to get out there and look.
Yeah.
I had some folks that on a Christmas It was the day after Christmas. I
Yeah.
mean, they went out and they actually bought the house. I couldn't believe it. We had
Wow.
a snowstorm. I mean, it was terrible.
Yeah.
And they bought that day after Christmas. I thought I was going to have to cancel because the roads were bad, everything else. And I'm like, man, do I really want to go show this house?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they bought the house. So they were motivated. They
Yeah.
saw something they liked. There was limited inventory, and they bought. So
Mhm.
sellers, there is hope.
Mhm.
Even during this time of year, there's hope. However, some tips for sellers, which, I guess after the break, I'll talk a little bit more about those specific tips for sellers. But you got to make sure you just don't overdo it. And after the break, we'll talk at length about what overdoing it means from Mark's perspective.
All right, sounds good. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm Woody Zimmerman here with Mark Skabowski of Remax Lakes. And we're talking about buying and selling during the holiday season, during the winter months, which that can be kind of rough to do. I mean, I have moved in the wintertime. It's not fun.
It is not
but for many, many reasons for both buyers and sellers.
Yeah.
There are some positives, there are some negatives about doing that, but this is when the market tends to slow down. But you've got some tips here for sellers.
Yeah, so sellers, I guess the number one tip I would say is be prepared. You need to keep your sidewalk clean,
Yeah.
right? You need to
Yes.
plow your driveway.
Yep.
Those are all things that come in. Now, granted, we may not have a foot of snow on the ground. It may be just a dusting, but do you really want, buyers to come up and be slippery, whatever, going into your house to have a fall? Because ultimately, now I sound like an attorney, right? There's still liability. You've still got liability. You're letting strangers into your home.
Yeah, but now even if the people have moved out and the house is empty, it's like you still want to take care of that driveway, not only for the fact that there is a liability, but also aesthetically. I mean, what does that driveway look? Is that concrete all messed up,
Right.
or is it nice and clean and fresh?
Right.
How does that look?
Well, yeah, and you've got to make it accessible, because if you can't get in there to see it, why would you see it? Now, I'm not saying we've got a blizzard every day, right? But these are all just things to think about if you're selling during this time. So holidays are tough because you want to decorate your home. Many people do.
Yep.
You want to decorate. Some people go to extremes, right? There's a couple of homes every year on Market Street. I think they compete for lighting. I don't know who the people are. I don't know them personally, but I enjoy the light show.
Yeah.
Because I don't put a light show up.
Yeah.
I don't
let others
put
do
it,
it.
so I just go look at theirs.
Right. Yeah.
But if you do that and you're trying to sell, you could turn potential buyers away.
Right.
Now, there's always that one. There's always somebody. And I have this discussion with sellers a lot. They're like, well, somebody will buy. I'm like, well, from an agent's perspective, and here we're going to talk a little stats. There's something called the bell curve, which is a normal distribution. Which I'm using my hand to show that. It looks like a mountain up the top, but it's curved.
Yeah.
And we're trying to market to the middle of that range.
Yep. The majority.
We're not marketing to the extremes or the tails of that distribution.
Yep.
Right? There's the outliers, and then there's the more average, the middle of the pack.
Mass appeal. Yep.
We're trying to market to those pieces. Yeah, there could be one out there that wants that. You know, if you've got a really unique property or you've got it decorated, so you could have the person that watches Elf and the Griswold's Family Christmas every day throughout the year, and they are driven by the holiday season and by Christmas. Not everybody's that way. So you want to, I'm not saying don't decorate, just maybe tone it down a little bit. There's nothing wrong with having a Christmas tree, all of those things, getting ready for the holiday. Nothing wrong with that.
It's just like neutral colors in the house.
Absolutely. Neutralize, don't go to the extremes while you've got it listed.
Yeah.
So if you're a seller and you're thinking about it and that's your gig, like those two houses on Market Street, they do it every year, don't put your house on the market in November or December, because you know what? You're going to turn some folks off from that.
Right.
It's all curb appeal. Somebody pulls up to that, what? I don't want this. So, bit extreme, but that's don't just neutralize. Neutralize if you're selling during that time frame. Be prepared, as you talked about, a vacant home. You still need to make sure the driveway's cleared, that you've got the heat on. Don't turn the heat on. Don't totally winterize the property. Now I get draining, putting antifreeze in the toilets in case you lose heat and all those things. If you're living in Indy and you got a lake home up here, you sure don't want to have busted water lines and those kind of things. So you can winterize normally, but keep the heat on if you're thinking of doing it. Again, nothing worse than walking into an ice box. When it's colder in the house than it is outside, it's not a good
that's
way
not a
to
good
look at
selling
property.
point.
It's
No,
not
it's
a good
not.
selling feature.
Yeah.
So, for sellers, the supply of homes, as we talked about, inventory is less. So you've got more serious buyers.
Yeah.
The detractors just don't overdo it when it comes to getting ready for the holidays.
Yeah.
That's my biggest tip for that.
And then also with the decorations.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people decorate on the inside of the home, but you already have, your normal decorations. Now you're adding to, and clutter. That is one thing that you don't want to have when you're trying to sell your home.
Yeah, I mean, if a room is small to begin with, and you've got a Christmas tree jammed in there, and you've got a lot of other stuff in that room that you normally would have, it's a detractor for some people. What you want is for buyers to be able to see themselves in the home and see their stuff in your home. That's what you want to be able to do. So that's all we're talking about. I'm not being Debbie Downer and saying, Scrooge, Christmas, don't do anything for Christmas. I'm not saying that. Just don't overdo it. But you're right on the clutter piece.
Yeah.
It is hard for people to get over. If they open the closets and stuff's falling out of them, what are they thinking? Psychologically is, well, there's not enough storage in this house. That there is not enough storage. So the standard home selling tips are there.
Yeah.
Declutter, have it in your best, condition possible. All those things tie in regardless of the season. But specifically for the holidays, you don't want to make it a unique property.
Yeah.
You want to make it one that everybody can see themselves in.
And so, 10 years ago when I did move, one thing that I did to declutter the house is I got a storage unit, and I moved like all the extra stuff into that storage unit, and wanted to simplify my home while we were still living there, while people were coming to see it.
Yeah, and I get that, and that was a good plan on your part to go ahead and do that. And I guess the last thing that for sellers is that be aware, and your process more than what I do, but if you're having family in town and things like that, you're probably going to want to restrict those showings, because if buyers are able to look, they're going to want to go and look at that at any given time. So just be upfront with your agent, say, hey, I've got people in town from, X date to X date. We're not going to be able to show. There's not going to be any showings at that time.
Right.
So just be aware that you may have to limit those showings, and don't be disappointed if you do. Again, you still got to live your life. And I tell that to every seller. We're trying to sell your house, but it's still your home.
Yeah, right.
It's still your home. You still have to live here. You just need it prepared for showings when it comes time. If you're having a birthday party, a Christmas party, a New Year's party, whatever those are, block that time out. Enjoy your home while you're still in it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Bottom line, it all goes down to your why.
It all goes down to your why. You got it.
All right, continue this conversation with Mark. Your contact information?
Sure. Website, skabowskiteam.com. Phone numbers, 574-527-0660. Can email me at mark@skabowskiteam.com.
All right, very good. You've been listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.